Your website is about the reader. Now, I have a video on this site, and that video is designed to tell people what I want them to do. Because the second piece of this is you have to be so clear with what you want your consumer, your potential reader to do on your site. I went kicking and screaming into that video, by the way. My web designer said, because you got to have a video. I'm like, oh, please do not put me on camera. Sorry, I'm being filmed for this. And so, you know, and so she scripted it, she wrote it out, and you know what? It works. Because I said to her, I said, you know what? If nobody clicks on that video, I'm pulling it down. We'll just have a big black box there because I don't want the video up. People email me and they say, oh, that video was so helpful. If you're going to do video, by the way, do not go over 2 minutes. I mean, that is based on studies that I've seen, people's interest starts to decline after 2 minutes. 0 to 35 seconds, great. You've got my interest. 55 seconds, still pretty good. But you get closer and closer to that 2-minute mark, and I'm starting to doze off. Unless you have this, whatever, those crazy dancing cat toast or whatever those crazy YouTube videos are that get so popular all of a sudden. We'll watch those for 15 minutes. Quick question?
Can we see it?
Yeah, if we have Wi-Fi in the room. If there's time at the end, I will show you.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. No, you can't see it. I hate my video. No, I'm kidding. No, we did about 15 takes on this video. It wasn't pretty. All right. Remember that your website is not a magazine. And I actually debate whether people even read long articles in magazines anymore. I mean, Twitter has not helped us become less ADD, right? 140 characters. So, but, you know, make sure that you keep your homepage should have no more than 250 words on it, by the way. Make sure what's my time. Okay. Your homepage should have no more than 250 words. Lots of bullet points. People do not read, they scan. Headlines are great, as is page-to-page consistency. How many times have you clicked on a website, and hopefully this doesn't happen to you, this does not happen to you daily, but you click on a website and you go from the home page to the second page, and the second page looks completely different from the home page, and you're going, am I still on the same site? What that does is it breaks your connection to the consumer, and you lose them. So you really want to have, like this is our blog, and the reason I throw the blog image up here is because a lot of times that's where the disconnect is. We get a WordPress blog, we go with the WordPress template, and then it gets sort of shoved into our site. Now, our entire site, by the way, is designed in WordPress. And I love it because it really helps your optimization. It helps to show up in searches. It's also really easy to update. I can go into the back end of it and make updates to it. I can change things. I can, you know, so I'm not reliant on my web designer to come in and make changes, because one of the biggest complaints that we hear, we don't do web design, by the way, but one of the biggest complaints that we hear from web designers is they vanish, right? I don't know how many of you have had a web designer, you think, I can't find them. Or your web designer was, you know, your neighbor's kid who's 12 and now he's back in school, right? Because do these kids not know this stuff? So, right? So you want to figure out how to program your new phone? Go ask your neighbor's kid, because he can certainly help you. But you want to have page-to-page consistency. So just make sure that whoever is designing your site incorporates your blog. All right. So, you know, we all want to sell books, obviously for those of us that are published. We all want to sell books. And one of the biggest things that authors forget on their homepage is putting their book up there. I see this all the time. And if they put their book up there, they shove it in a corner down sort of at the bottom where nobody will scroll down to see it. If you are not your biggest fan, nobody else is going to be. I mean, aside from mom, right? Nobody else is going to be. So you really want to put the book up there. Even if you send people to an About the Book page, have a Buy Now button underneath the book. A nice, red, colorful, you know, something that people can see. Because again, you've got to catch somebody's attention. And you've got to tell them what you want them to do. Right? So, and I recommend link out to Amazon, link to other sites. We had a discussion at the conference I was just at with a bunch of publishers, because I said, you know, adding a link to Amazon builds credibility. And they said, oh, well, every other retailer has to be on there too. So, right, so Books A Million and IndieBound and Barnes & Noble and Borders and everybody else. I recommend if you're a publisher, because the reason that they tell you to do this is because the buyers at these stores get upset when you have a store and it doesn't have all of these other stores listed on there. But if you give your consumer too many choices, they're going to leave. And we got into a little bit of sort of this kind of heated debate about this. And I said, well, I understand that you have to do this politically, you, the publisher, but if I'm guiding somebody, I'm going to tell them to give them fewer choices. But if you find yourself in that situation, have your website person rotate the links. So sometimes what you can do is you can have 8 retailers on there, but only 2 or 3 of them show up at a time. And they rotate. Maybe they rotate every day. I will tell you, regardless of who you put on your site, where do you think, if people do buy online, where do you think they're going to go? Amazon, right? 10,000-pound gorilla. Amazon, that's where people are going to land up. But if you have to do this for your publisher, actually not really for your publisher, for their relationships with their buyers, which again I understand, see if you can rotate the links. Run that by your publisher and see what they say. It was a really interesting discussion, actually. I have so much information I didn't even realize that sometimes these buyers can get a little funny, especially with all the competition out there. By the way, I want to make a comment about PayPal. For those of you who write nonfiction, you may sell product off of your site along with your book. We have, e-reports and audio and all this other stuff. Years ago, do you remember when PayPal was sort of like, who uses PayPal, right? It was sort of frowned on. We went out and got a fairly expensive OS commerce system, which is a store system, and our sales went down. We put PayPal back in, and our sales went back up. So, whatever feels right to you, but I'd rather make a sale. So we put PayPal on there, and I got rid of the expensive OS commerce system. All right. Lots of white space, as I mentioned, scannable text, and headlines. Headlines are really important. Good luck on your session, ladies. Remember that the maybes rule, right? You're not going to get somebody to commit to you on your first date, right? I had somebody compare this to dating once, right, where it's sort of like you're sitting down, you met somebody online or whatever, and you're sitting down or you're meeting over coffee, that person's unless they're a psycho, they're probably not going to lean over to you and go, will you marry me? Right? And if that's happened to you, you should probably write a book about it. But you're going to build that relationship over time. That newsletter, or whatever that is, author announcement, whatever, kind of keeps you on their radar screen. Let's talk about just 2 quick SEO things, and then we're going to move into social networking. 2 basic, just so you understand this as you're getting into this market, because people throw a lot of jargon, right? SEO, ooh. People say, what does that mean? Search engine optimization. SEM means search engine marketing. Very basic. Search engine optimization is basically how well your site shows up in Google. That's all that means. There are 2 things to consider. Your on-page factors, so what are the words on your website, what do they say, and who's the off-page factors, who is linking into you. Your on-page factors, you can control actually both of them, because you're going to go out there and you're going to start blog commenting and you're going to get links into your site. On your website, make sure that the words on your homepage do not say something like, my name is Sally and I wrote a book, or whatever that is. Because you know what? When you search yourself on Google, have you ever looked at, if you have a website, have you ever looked at your website on Google and the first words that show up under that search bar are the words that are on the home page of your site. So you want to have things that describe the book in an appealing way to the reader. That's why I said it's really about the reader. Anything that's on your homepage should be relevant to the reader. If you want to talk about yourself, which you should, do it on the About page or your blog or whatever.